The vast emptiness of space held its breath as the human vessel approached the Galactic Council's central chamber. Captain Park Yan-woo stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes scanning the unfamiliar star system. Behind her, a small delegation of human representatives waited in tense silence. The massive crystalline structure of the Council headquarters loomed ahead, a testament to millennia of galactic diplomacy. Hundreds of alien species had passed through these halls, each believing themselves superior to others. Today would be different. Ji-won Kim, the strategic advisor, checked the communication systems one last time. His fingers moved quickly across the holographic interface, ensuring every protocol was perfect. Humans had one chance to make an impression, and they would not waste it. As the ship docked, the first hints of alien curiosity began to ripple through the massive chamber. Tentacled diplomats, reptilian administrators, and energy-based life forms turned their attention to the small human delegation. Most expected another primitive species seeking protection or trade agreements. The airlock hissed open. Captain Yan-woo stepped forward, her uniform crisp and bearing impeccable. No trace of nervousness showed in her movements. Behind her, a team of 5 representatives followed, each carefully selected for their unique skills and composure. The council chamber fell silent. Representatives from over 50 advanced civilizations watched with a mixture of boredom and mild curiosity. Holographic displays flickered with translation protocols, ready to interpret whatever primitive communication these humans might attempt. What they didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. Ji-won's research team had spent years studying galactic communication protocols, alien psychology, and interstellar diplomacy. Every gesture, every word had been meticulously planned. The humans were not here to beg or negotiate. They were here to be recognized. Captain Yan-woo approached the central platform. Her steps were measured, confident. The gravity of her presence seemed to shift the very atmosphere of the chamber. Alien diplomats found themselves sitting a little straighter, their multiple eyes focused intently. Distinguished members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice clear and direct. The translation systems hummed to life, converting her words into countless alien languages simultaneously. A representative from the Clorox Collective, a massive plant-based civilization, leaned forward. Something about the humans' tone was different. There was a quality they hadn't expected. Strength, determination. Ji-won activated a holographic display. Centuries of human history began to unfold, not the sanitized version many alien races might expect, but a raw, unfiltered journey of survival, innovation, and resilience. Images of technological breakthroughs, environmental challenges overcome, and global collaborations filled the chamber. The aliens watched, their initial dismissiveness slowly transforming into something else. Curiosity, respect, concern. Humans had faced near extinction multiple times. Climate disasters, global conflicts, resource challenges. Each time, they had adapted. Each time, they had survived. And now, they stood before the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, not as supplicants, but as equals. "We are not here to request membership," Captain Yan-woo continued. "We are here to introduce ourselves." A subtle murmur ran through the chamber. This was not the typical approach of a newly discovered species. The Clorox representatives' tendrils moved in a complex pattern, their version of raised eyebrows. The human delegation wasn't following any of the expected diplomatic scripts. Ji-won's additional data streams began presenting humanity's technological capabilities. Not to boast, but to establish a clear understanding. Advanced quantum computing, breakthrough medical technologies, sustainable energy solutions that made most alien systems look primitive. One by one, the diplomatic representatives realized something important. These humans were different. They weren't seeking approval. They were announcing their arrival. As the presentation concluded, an uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. Captain Yan-woo stood perfectly still, waiting. The first contact between humanity and the Galactic Council was complete. What no one in that chamber understood was that this moment marked the beginning of something far greater. A transformation that would reshape galactic politics forever. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. The first wave of Krall invasion ships tore through Earth's outer orbital defenses like paper. Massive metallic structures, shaped like deadly arrowheads, descended with calculated precision. Each vessel carried thousands of combat-ready soldiers, their exoskeletons gleaming with advanced weaponry. Captain Park Yanwoo watched from the emergency command center. Her hands moved quickly across holographic displays, coordinating defensive protocols. The initial attack was brutal, unexpected, and designed to crush human resistance before it could even begin. The Krall believed in total annihilation. Their military doctrine had conquered 17 different civilizations before reaching Earth. They expected humans to crumble within hours. They were wrong. Military bases across the planet activated within minutes of the first attack. Underground facilities, hidden for decades, came to life. Networks of communication that most global intelligence agencies didn't even know existed began transmitting coded information. In Seoul, a group of engineers quickly modified industrial manufacturing systems. Factories that once produced consumer electronics now began creating advanced defensive weaponry. Civilian infrastructure transformed into a massive adaptive combat network. Jiwon Kim's strategic algorithms went into full operation. Every satellite, every communication tower, every transportation system became a potential weapon. The humans weren't just defending. They were preparing to fight back. The Krall ships bombarded major cities, expecting total destruction. Instead, they encountered something they had never seen before. Adaptive defense systems that could predict and counter their attack patterns. Underground shelters that absorbed massive energy blasts. Civilian populations that moved with military precision. In New York, entire city blocks disappeared underground within seconds of the first warning. In Tokyo, communication networks rerouted through backup systems faster than the Krall could track. Every human settlement had become a potential fortress. The invasion force's first miscalculation was believing humans were a unified, predictable species. They saw a single global target. What they encountered was a complex, adaptable system that could reconfigure itself faster than any known civilization. Military bases around the world activated experimental defense protocols. Weapon systems that had been developed in secret for decades now saw their first real test. Quantum adaptive shields materialized around critical infrastructure. Electromagnetic pulse generators created invisible barriers that disrupted Krall technology. Captain Yanwoo's command center became the heart of human resistance. Data streams from around the planet converged, creating a real-time map of the invasion. Each red marker representing a Krall attack point became a potential counterattack zone. "Activate protocol firewall," she commanded. Across the planet, hidden systems came to life. Massive energy generators that had been disguised as research facilities began charging. Satellites repositioned themselves with surgical precision. The Krall didn't understand that humans had been preparing for an invasion for decades. Every technological advancement, every global conflict, every research project had been a step toward this moment. In the first 12 hours, the Krall lost over 30% of their initial invasion force. Not to direct combat, but to human, technological adaptation. Weapon systems that could predict and neutralize Krall technology before direct engagement. Military strategists from other alien civilizations would later study this moment. How could a supposedly primitive species respond so quickly? How could they transform their entire global infrastructure into a defensive network in mere minutes? The answer was simple. Humans had never believed they were alone in the universe. While other civilizations saw them as backward, humans had been preparing, watching, and developing technologies that defied conventional understanding. By the end of the first day, the Krall invasion force found themselves in a war they didn't understand. Every attack was anticipated. Every strategy was countered before it could be fully implemented. Jiwon Kim's predictive algorithms turned human defense into an art form. The entire planet became a living, breathing combat system. Cities that seemed vulnerable became deadly traps. Transportation networks transformed into weapon delivery systems. The Crawl had come to conquer. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that didn't play by any known rules of warfare. Humanity's first true test had begun, and they were just getting started. The quantum computer hummed with an energy that seemed almost alive. Captain Park Yanwoo watched as lines of code transformed into weapon systems, each algorithm more complex than entire alien technological networks. Humanity's technological response wasn't just a defense. It was a complete reimagining of warfare. The first breakthrough came from an unlikely source. A research team in Busan had been developing neural-linked combat systems for years. What started as experimental medical technology became the backbone of human resistance. Soldiers could now interface directly with weapons, their reaction times reduced to microseconds. Ji-won Kim's team had been preparing for this moment. Hidden research facilities across the globe activated simultaneously. What the Crawl saw as isolated human settlements were actually strategic technological nodes, each containing decades of secret research. Adaptive nanotechnology became the first true game-changer. Human combat suits could now reconfigure themselves, in real time changing molecular structure, to counter different types of alien weapons. A plasma burst that would destroy conventional armor simply reshaped the suit's molecular structure, absorbing and redirecting the energy. The Crawl invasion force found themselves fighting an enemy that learned and adapted faster than their own. Advanced systems could process. Each engagement became a nightmare of unpredictability. In orbit, human ships that looked like modified commercial vessels revealed themselves as something entirely different. Quantum entanglement communication systems allowed instantaneous coordination across millions of kilometers. Where the Crawl expected linear communication, humans created a three-dimensional network of information exchange. A single human ship could now do the work of an entire alien battle group. Research centers that once developed medical technologies now became weapon design facilities. A treatment for neural regeneration became a method for enhanced soldier performance. Cancer research transformed into biological adaptation protocols. The Crawl had technological advantages measured in centuries. Humans had something far more dangerous: the ability to innovate under pressure. Every hour of the conflict saw new technological breakthroughs, artificial intelligence systems that could predict enemy movements with terrifying accuracy, energy weapons that could be reconfigured mid-battle, communication systems that could break any known encryption in seconds. What made human technology truly terrifying was its adaptability. Where alien civilizations had specialized systems, humans created flexible platforms that could be modified on the fly. A communication device could become a weapon. A medical scanner could become a defensive system. Ji-won Kim's strategic algorithms turned every piece of human technology into a potential weapon. Cities became living, breathing combat systems. Transportation networks transformed into rapid deployment platforms. Even civilian infrastructure became a part of the defense mechanism. The research facility in Seoul became the epicenter of technological innovation. Teams worked in continuous shifts, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Military engineers worked alongside medical researchers. Computer scientists collaborated with quantum physicists. Humanity wasn't just fighting, they were evolving warfare itself. The Crawl invasion force began to realize they were facing something unprecedented. Their advanced scanning systems couldn't predict human technology. Every time they developed a counter-strategy, humans would introduce something entirely new. Orbital battles became mathematical poetry. Human ships moved with a complexity that defied traditional combat algorithms. Where alien vessels followed predictable patterns, human ships created chaotic, unpredictable movement sequences. By the third week of the invasion, the Crawl had lost over 60% of their initial attack force. Not through direct combat, but through technological obsolescence. Human systems were learning and adapting faster than the Crawl could respond. Captain Yanwoo understood the true weapon wasn't the technology itself. It was the human ability to imagine, to create, to transform challenges into opportunities. The Battle of Proxima Quadrant would become legendary. 12 human vessels faced 73 crawl battleships, a confrontation that seemed mathematically impossible to survive. Commander Ji-won Kim watched the holographic display, his fingers moving with surgical precision. Each human ship wasn't just a vessel, it was a living, thinking combat system. The ships moved like a coordinated dance, anticipating crawl movements before they could even be initiated. Quantum predictive algorithms transformed warfare into something more than strategy. It became an art form. The first crawl battleship exploded not from direct weapon contact, but from its own internal systems being turned against it. Human technology had penetrated their communication networks, creating a cascade of computational destruction that spread like a virus. Captain Park Yeon-woo's voice remained calm. "Initiate neural cascade," she commanded. Across the battlefield, crawl ships began to malfunction. Their advanced systems, built over centuries of technological development, suddenly became vulnerabilities. Each network connection became a potential entry point for human technological warfare. What made human combat unique was its unpredictability. Where alien civilizations followed strict military doctrines, humans introduced chaos as a strategic element. Their ships didn't just fight, they thought, adapted, transformed. The Proxima Quadrant became a canvas of technological warfare. Energy, weapons that could reshape their molecular structure mid-attack. Communication systems that could hack and redirect enemy weapon protocols. Defensive mechanisms that could predict and neutralize threats before they materialized. One crawl battleship attempted to launch a concentrated plasma burst. Before the weapon could fully charge, human systems had already calculated its trajectory, potential damage, and created a counter-response. The plasma burst was redirected, turning the crawl's own weapon against their fleet. Ji-won Kim's strategic algorithms worked like a living organism. Each engagement wasn't just about destruction, it was about learning. Every crawl tactical movement was analyzed, understood, and integrated into human combat protocols. The 12 human vessels moved with a complexity that defied traditional combat understanding. They weren't just ships. They were extensions of human imagination. Each vessel could reconfigure its systems faster than the crawl could process information. Alien communication networks began spreading whispers. The humans were not just fighting. They were rewriting the very understanding of technological warfare. By the battle's conclusion, 72 crawl battleships had been destroyed. The single remaining vessel surrendered, its systems completely compromised by human technological infiltration. What the crawl didn't understand was that humans saw warfare differently. It wasn't about overwhelming force. It was about adaptive intelligence, creative problem-solving, and the ability to transform challenges into opportunities. The Battle of Proxima Quadrant lasted less than 3 hours, but its impact would be felt across the galaxy for generations. Captain Park watched the final crawl vessel surrender. No celebration, no dramatic speeches, just a calm understanding that this was just the beginning. Ji-won Kim's team had already begun analyzing the battle data. Every second of the conflict would be studied, every tactical movement documented. The next engagement would be even more precise, more devastating. The human technological uprising had found its true momentum. The galaxy was about to learn a fundamental lesson. Never underestimate a species capable of turning its own limitations into strengths. In research facilities across Earth, teams were already preparing the next generation of adaptive combat systems. Medical researchers, computer engineers, quantum physicists, all working together with a single purpose. The crawl thought they were fighting a war. Humans knew they were building a future. As communication signals spread across star systems, alien civilizations began to realize something fundamental had changed. The humans were no longer just another species to be conquered or controlled. They were a force of technological evolution that would reshape galactic understanding forever. The turning point had arrived, and humanity was just getting started. 12 years of conflict had transformed humanity from an unknown species to the most feared civilization in known space. The Kral Empire, once a terrifying military power that had conquered 17 different civilizations, was now reduced to scattered colonies and broken communication networks. Captain Park Yan-woo stood before the Galactic Reconstruction Council, her presence alone enough to make alien diplomats shift uncomfortably in their seats. Behind her, a delegation of human representatives carried themselves with a quiet confidence that spoke volumes. The numbers were unprecedented. The Crawl had lost 94% of their military infrastructure. Humanity? Their casualties were a mere 0.03% of their total population. Ji-won Kim's strategic reports became required reading across alien academic institutions. How had a supposedly primitive species not just survived, but completely dismantled an advanced military civilization? The answer was both simple and complex. Human adaptability. Every alien civilization had specialized systems. Humans created flexible platforms that could transform at a moment's notice. A medical scanner could become a weapon. A communication device could become a defensive network. Their entire civilization was a living, breathing combat system. The Galactic Council chambers felt different now. Where once humans were viewed as insignificant, they were now viewed with a mixture of respect and terror. The whisper of "human" could silence entire diplomatic discussions. Technological exchanges became one-sided. Alien civilizations desperately sought human innovations. Quantum communication systems, adaptive nanotechnology, neural-linked combat protocols. Humanity controlled the technological marketplace. Research facilities across Earth worked continuously. What the galaxy saw as weapons, humans saw as problem-solving technologies, medical breakthroughs, environmental restoration systems, communication, networks that could connect distant star systems in milliseconds. The war had changed everything. Alien species that once considered invasion now approached human territories with extreme caution. Military strategists studied every documented human engagement, searching for weaknesses that didn't exist. Captain Park's approach was calculated. Humanity wasn't seeking galactic domination. They were establishing a new framework of interstellar cooperation. But the message was clear. Any threat would be met with total, comprehensive destruction. Ji-won Kim's predictive algorithms became legendary. Military academies across different star systems began teaching human-style strategic thinking, adaptability, continuous learning, transforming limitations into strengths. The Crawl Empire's remaining leaders were brought before an international tribunal, not for punishment, but for a systematic understanding of their technological and strategic failures. Humans didn't seek revenge. They sought understanding. Earth transformed from a single planetary civilization to a multi-system technological powerhouse. Space stations became research facilities. Every colony was a potential innovation center. Humanity's expansion wasn't about conquest. It was about exploration and problem-solving. Alien diplomatic missions now approached human territories with carefully prepared protocols. No more condescension. No more assumptions of primitiveness. Humans had rewritten the rules of first contact, of warfare, of technological development. The galactic balance of power had fundamentally shifted. What made humans truly terrifying wasn't their weapons. It was their ability to imagine solutions that no other civilization could conceive. Where others saw obstacles, humans saw opportunities for innovation. Communication networks began spreading a new understanding. Humanity wasn't just another species. They were a fundamental force of technological and strategic evolution. The Galactic Reconstruction Council's final report was simple. Humanity had not just survived an invasion, they had transformed the entire understanding of interstellar conflict. Captain Park's final statement to the Council was remembered for generations. We are not here to conquer. We are here to collaborate. But make no mistake, we will defend ourselves. As human exploration vessels began mapping unexplored star systems, alien civilizations watched with a mixture of fascination and terror. The species they had once dismissed was now charting the future of galactic development. The recalibration was complete. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had arrived, and everything had changed.